in the vicinity of Las Vegas and Hoover Dam. United States forces have seized the initiative in the Quartzsite Mountain area and have made plans to launch an attack to destroy the aggressor force east of the Sierra Nevada mountains. The tactical commander decided at this point to use an atomic weapon in his assault on the enemy. It was this weapon which was detonated at dawn. The mission of these men, the soldiers of the Pentomic Task Force Warrior, is to move as quickly as possible into the blasted area and exploit the breach in the enemy lines. They are now about 5 miles from ground zero. Their airlift into the assault area will begin as soon as the fallout path is determined and the RAD-safe monitors have given clearance. They establish a defense perimeter around the loading zone while they wait, for one of the first rules in the field is to dig in whenever there is time to do so. Weapons are set up and ready to fire. The atomic device exploded had a power yield about twice the power of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. And it is presumed the enemy is badly hurt and disorganized. Still, our forces must prepare themselves for any attack, for there is always the possibility that even an enemy blasted by an atomic weapon will be able to get help. There can be no let-up in vigilance now. On a real battlefield, atomic or not, such an error might be fatal. Now the defense perimeter is secure. The command to move out to the objective comes. The final stage of the exercise is signaled by the smoke pots of the Pathfinders, another new group of technicians brought into being by the Pentomic Army. These are the men who guide to their designated landing zones the helicopters which will carry the assault troops to their objective. This is the part of the exercise that is being tested for the first time on these desert flats, where so many other factors relating to the performance of men and equipment under atomic conditions have been established. The ability of a pentomic unit to move quickly and exploit an atomic assault before the enemy has an opportunity to rally his defenses. The helicopter gives this mobile ability to the pentomic unit. These men are 5 miles from their objective, perhaps the distance they would be on an actual battlefield in a war in which atomic devices were used. A day's march over rough terrain would bring them to their destination, but by that time, the initiative gained by the powerful weapon might well be lost. Flight after flight of helicopters take off. Flying independently of the terrain, not in the least intimidated by impassable land or washed-out bridges, the helicopter in a matter of minutes permits the troops to cover distances which under other circumstances would take hours to travel. Prior to this flight, other helicopters have conducted reconnaissance over the objective area, the traditional role of the cavalry, performed in a manner specifically tailored to the demands of modern war. In the Pentomic Army, every division has its organic aviation. The mobility provided by these aircraft add a dimension of power to the Army, which would make it as formidable on the battlefield of tomorrow as it has been on all the battlefields of the past on which it has won its victories. The objective is reached. The helicopters touch down. The men fresh and ready for battle, rush out and press forward. It might be that atomic weapons will never be employed on any battlefield on which our men will fight. But if they are, our Army must be no less prepared to make the necessary adjustments to the situation and to win the battle than it was with the introduction of the machine gun, the repeating rifle, the heavy cannon, and the tank. What have these men of Task Force Warrior proved? They have shown that it is possible for soldiers to use the atom as they have used every weapon before it to achieve victory. They are veterans now of the atomic age. They are pioneers. But more than that, they are the proud demonstrators of the truth that the land, so vital to victory now as ever, can still be won by determined men, whatever the circumstances.
Control of the land was indispensable to victory in the time of America's Revolutionary War. It will be indispensable on the atomic battlefield that tomorrow may force upon us. It is the obligation of the Army to be prepared to seize and keep that control, despite changes in warfare, weapons, and techniques, however spectacular. Now, this is Sergeant Stuart Queen, inviting you to be with us again next week for another look at your Army in action on The Big Picture.
The Big Picture is an official television report for the armed forces and the American people. Produced by the Army Pictorial Center. Presented by the United States Army in cooperation with this station.